I remember sitting there in that big group of friends and her saying, fat people can't ride that ride, and me thinking, oh, like, wow, I can't believe she's saying that in front of me, like, I must not be fat. And then obviously she said no offense. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jazzy. If you are new here, I wanted to introduce myself. I bring body positive content, emotional positive content. I bring fashion hauls, beauty, lifestyle vlogs, all sorts of things to my channel. So if you are new here and that sounds like something that would interest you, please remember to hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me to have you be a part of the family. And I have some really exciting things coming up in the next couple of months here. So I would love to have you guys here to experience them with us. In 2021, I have decided that my word of the year is going to be intentional. So last year, my word of the year was authentic, and I feel like I really did bring that to my channel, and it really actually rung true in my brain throughout the year. Every time that I maybe didn't want to share certain things of my life or felt vulnerable sharing certain things, I remembered that I wanted to stay authentic with you guys and stay genuine. So that is kind of something that I've stuck with. But this year, I want to be more intentional with my content. I want to bring you guys more stories about my life and things that could help you guys, tips that could help you guys learn to love yourself and learn to be more confident in who you are. And yeah, just different tips and tricks that I have established throughout the years. I have not always loved myself, believe it or not. I know that's like, obviously you guys know that. Anybody who's been on my channel knows that I have been through a lot, and there have been times when I did not love myself at all, and those were times when the rest of the world probably thought that I did. And I looked like I had it all together on the outside. I was, you know, the best I had ever looked in my life in those times, and I just hated myself. So in this video specifically, I would like to share with you guys a couple of the tips that I have established through the years that have helped me in loving myself and not even remembering what it felt like to be the girl who didn't love herself. So I have a list in front of me here, and I am going to just share them all with you, and hopefully this helps you guys through the new year. I know that once the new year hits, everybody's like trying to get fit and get into action so that they can hopefully love themselves at some point in their physical journey. But I really did want to bring this to you guys at this time because it is so important to remember that it's not just about your physical appearance. Like I just mentioned to you guys, I have been through all of the ranges of being very thin to, well, very thin for me, not for everyone else, but for me, I've been the thinnest that I'm ever probably going to be, and I have been what I am now, which is actually the biggest that I've ever been. And I hated myself when I was thin. Not that I hated myself because I was thin, but I thought that being thin would make me love myself more, and it didn't fix the parts of me that I needed to work on internally. Let's just hop on in to some of these tips that could help you guys in the new year. The first tip that I have for you guys is to stop self-deprecating thoughts literally right in their tracks. Like, if you guys have a thought, like, there are times when obviously I think to myself, oh, I don't like what my stomach looks like. I don't like what my arms look like. I don't like, I don't know, my skin, that I have a zit or something. I don't know. Like, there's just so many times when I could look in the mirror. I mean, right now, I could look in the mirror right now and pick myself apart. There's a mirror over here, by the way. But I have taught myself that when I think to myself, oh, I don't like this about me, to just stop that thought. Like, literally before that thought finishes itself, stop it. Just reject the thought. I know this one is hard, and it's hard to imagine being able to do that. And I remember when I first started trying to reject the negative thoughts, it was extremely hard for me, and actually sometimes it would have the opposite effect, and it would actually make me feel worse. But the more often you do it, the more it becomes a skill. It's a literal skill to not talk negatively about yourself. And what does that say? Like, that's really unfortunate in the world today that you have to pick up that skill in order to make yourself feel good about yourself. But it really is one that you have to work on, and just know that we all have negative thoughts about ourselves, but it's how much time you devote to those negative thoughts that makes you feel badly about yourself. So my next tip is to unfollow people on social media accounts that make you feel less than, even if they're your friends. Like, I have gone through this past year and deleted so many people off of my Instagram, like who I'm following, because I didn't feel good when I thought of them. They were people that I knew in the past or that were friends with me in the past, and I literally went through my whole entire list of people that I was following at the beginning of this past year, and I just started purging the people that made me feel negatively. And I cannot explain to you how helpful that has been in my life. And I was always worried I would hurt people's feelings if I did that. If you unfollow someone, like, they'll see that you had unfollowed them and it would hurt their feelings. But at the end of the day, you're hurting your own feelings by continuing to follow people that make you feel that way. We aren't going out, we aren't partying, we aren't hanging out with friends, we aren't going to do things outside of the house. We aren't interacting with people. So where we are interacting with people is through social media. Where we are getting our content of people in general, like the bottom half of people's faces even, like, that is all through social media right now. And you need to make sure that the bottom half of their face doesn't make you feel like shit. And I'm not just talking, like, obviously about the bottom half of their face, but in general, like, if their content is making you feel any sort of negativity about yourself, you need to just rid yourself of that. And honestly, after you've done that, you may realize that, oh, like, the reason that I felt that way was because I was jealous of them, or because I felt lesser than, or whatever. And at that point, you can reintroduce them into your social circle online, obviously. You can do whatever you want. It's your choice what you feed yourself. Why keep everybody that you've ever met in your life on your social circle on social media? That is what you are. Literally, we spend so much time on social media. Why keep people that you don't like on there? Just to make yourself feel bad. Honestly, most of it's just to check up on them, to make sure that their life sucks. And you're always going to see that their life is great, because they're not promoting that their life sucks. And honestly, their life might not suck. Why are you doing that to yourself? So I just suggest not following people that aren't, like, in your immediate social circle, or people that bring more, like, value to your life. So go through your friends list on everything. Facebook, Instagram, whatever you use the most of, especially, and get rid of those toxic people. And then another tip to branch off of that one is to find people that look like you to follow, that hold the values that you have. Follow those people. Follow all of the people that, like, hold the same values you do, ones that look like you. I cannot stress that enough for plus size people. I follow a whole bunch of plus size badass women, and trust me, they're out there. You just are not looking for them. You're not looking for them. You are surrounding yourself by people that you want to look like. And I say surrounding yourself by these people because, like I said, when we hold our phones in our hands, that is us hanging out with people that we are going to be influenced by. So make sure that the people that you're going to be influenced by are people that hold the same values as you and make you feel better. So my next one is listen to podcasts. I didn't listen to as many as I did this past year as I did the year before. The year before is when I did a lot of my growth internally when it came to my goals and what I wanted for my future. I had not started my YouTube channel yet, but I was listening to all sorts of podcasts to help me establish my goals in life. A couple of really good ones that I could suggest are Full of Joy podcast, which is Francesca Borman, I think is how she pronounces her last name, and Mallory Irvin's podcast. I don't remember what it's called. For some reason, it is not it's not coming to my mind, but it exists, and I will put it on screen, and I will drop links for both of those down below. Those helped me so much through my growth in loving myself and being a happy person. They helped me really grow into being a happy person. So I would highly recommend listening to their podcast and start from the beginning. I don't know any of their newer stuff. Like I said, I haven't listened very much recently, but in the past I did listen to all of their stuff from literally the moment that they started their podcast on. It's another podcast that's really great. It's called the Enough Podcast. She really promotes like a positive lifestyle. Her whole goal with her podcast is to promote that you are enough. It's called the Enough Podcast, so it's to show you that you are enough just as you are. So, going away from the social media circle type of things, let's move on to things that you can do in your daily life if you aren't that into social media. This one really like blew my mind when I did it. And this is one where all of you guys are going to be saying, what are you talking about? You sound like some sort of crazy manifesting woman. And when people say they manifest things, like, it is the truth. I have not manifested anything yet, but I have seen it proven time and time again. And I still haven't gotten to that point where I'm like, I'm gonna manifest this. I just really haven't. But this one is, look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you're worthy. Tell yourself how beautiful you are and that you're worthy. That is the biggest thing that I can express to you, is that you are enough. Like I was saying with the Enough Podcast, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of being considered beautiful. No matter what your looks are, no matter what your personality is even, honestly, every single one of us is worthy. I didn't realize how effective this was until I had my photo shoot with Dominic, which I did a huge video on that, where I really kind of expressed my emotional struggles in what I was wearing for my photo shoot with Dominic. We got engaged, so we did an engagement shoot, and I wore a extremely low-cut dress, and I had a lot of negative comments about that dress prior to me actually wearing it, and they were very hurtful. And if I had been in a different mental space, I would have really been affected by those, but instead I was not. I looked at myself in the mirror. I specifically remember, this was the first time I ever did this, I specifically remember hugging Dominic and holding Dominic in my arms, looking at myself in this mirror and like over his back, and looking at like my beautiful dress, because I was wearing it. It was when I was showing him my dress, because it all happened so fast. You guys, if you want to check that video out, you're more than welcome to. But looking at myself in this beautiful dress and literally saying to myself, you are worthy. You are beautiful. Like, I believed it. I can't explain to you, that moment was really life-changing for me because I could not understand these women's comments, and looking at myself in that dress, I really still, like, it baffled me. It was not a looking at myself in the mirror thinking, oh yeah, I really don't like the way my boobs look in this. Oh yeah, I really don't like the way this hangs or that. Like, it was me looking at myself in the mirror, telling myself, I actually love it. I love everything about what I look like, and I don't know what is wrong with these other people. It's not something wrong with you. When people talk trash about your looks and stuff like that, screw them. Like, literally screw them. They suck so much. And I have a lot more I could say about them, but it's not even that they suck. Like, okay, I'm saying that because genuinely, like, why do they do that? But then I can also put myself in their shoes, and their feelings on it are valid as well, and their feelings that they have learned and that they feel about themselves and not necessarily about you. So that's another tip, is when people say negative things about you, remember that it actually just really doesn't have anything to do with you. Like, it really has to do with them. I have been there where I've said negative things about people. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I've never said a negative thing about anybody. I have for sure said negative things about people before, and in the end, it was me feeling bad about myself, thinking negatively about them, if that makes any sense. So putting my insecurities onto that person. Okay, so moving on to the next tip. This one is really important and really the hardest one, I think, to do. And that is teaching your friends and family how to talk to you. So it's really hard because we surround ourselves with friends and family that love us, but sometimes they say things that are more about them. Like what I was just explaining to you guys, they say things not realizing that they're going to offend you in the way that they do, and you have to take control of that situation. I've had people seriously so close to me that I've had to either cut off because what they were saying was offensive to me and they were not changing, or I had to, if they were close enough to me that I cared enough, I had to tell them, I need you to talk to me differently. That is not healthy for me mentally. So if you have friends or family that, let's say, talk about their weight all the time even. Let's say it's not even about you. They're not even talking about your weight or your looks. Let's say you just have a friend who constantly complains about her weight and it is unhealthy for you when you hang out with that friend because it makes you think about your weight all the time, and that's not the kind of energy you want to have. You have to tell that friend. I had a friend that I'm extremely close with to this day because I said to her, you are always talking about your weight when we are hanging out, and I think you're beautiful. And also you're way smaller than me. So that's another thing that's really hard when it's somebody that is a lot smaller than you complaining about their size, because their feelings are valid with how they're feeling. Like they're valid to not feel good about themselves, but it does make you feel so much worse about yourself because you're so much bigger than they are, but they're not even recognizing that that's what they're doing to you. So you need to communicate with them. So I had to communicate and say, hey, listen, like, it's really hard for me to hang out with you and have you discuss how badly you feel about yourself every single time we talk and every single time we hang out, and tell me how you need to lose weight because you're just so big. Like, saying those types of things is really hard for me personally because I am bigger than you, and even though I am confident in myself, that still is, like, it does get to me. You have to be strong enough to stick up for yourself, and they don't know that they're doing anything to hurt you. Like, they're not doing it intentionally. If they're a good friend, they are not intentionally hurting you. I have had friends that are. Like, I have had friends that have said some really nasty things about my weight in particular, and those are the friends you cut off. But the friends that don't realize that what they're doing could possibly hurt your feelings, or like it's so obvious that they're not intentionally saying things about you. What they're saying just has a negative effect on you. I know this may not be everybody's cup of tea, and other people may say I'm too sensitive, or like that's just crazy. They shouldn't have to change the way they talk about themselves around me. But if it's not working for you and it's making you feel bad, then you're not going to want to hang out with them anymore. Like, that's just it. You're not going to want to talk to them as much if what they're saying makes you feel bad. And I can guarantee they're not going to love the fact that what they are saying has made you feel bad, because they don't know. Like, the friend that I had to tell, it was hard to tell her because she didn't know, and it hurt her to know that she was hurting me with the way that she was talking about herself. And really, it also helped her, I think, in the way she feels about herself, because she realized that she was talking so negatively about herself every time we were hanging out, and I don't think she even recognized that she was doing that. It was just an everyday struggle. But just because she wasn't where I was on my journey doesn't mean that her feelings weren't valid about herself. So yeah, that one is really tough. It's really, really hard to tell your friends that you can't have them talking about that. And that's not even just with weight. There are conversations that have to be had, but if you want to keep your friendships, there are some things that you have to tread lightly on. And you can't constantly be hanging out with people that make you feel bad about certain parts of your life. And if they're going to, they need to know that they're doing that. Because a lot of times they don't realize. We always think it's so obvious, like, oh, they should know that they've hurt our feelings. Oh, they should know that they shouldn't say those types of things. But people don't know unless you tell them. So that one is one of the biggest tips that I have on my list. That leads me to our next one, you guys. And this one is one that I kind of touched on in the last one. This one is, make sure you are surrounded by people that aren't constantly putting you down. Don't let anybody talk to you the way you have talked to yourself for so long. I had a lot of friends growing up that would say certain things, like literally throw daggers at me, and I just let them say it because I thought I deserved that. Like, I thought that this is the body that I have. And these were friends, like, it was like at my thinnest they would say these things. And I just felt like this is the body I have, so I deserve to be treated that way. And no. Like, I wish I could shake myself out of that when I was younger, because these people were not my friends. I had a friend in high school that I remember she used to say comments all the time, but there's one that will stick with me literally until I die, probably. And we were at an amusement park, and she was talking to, like, our big group of friends. She would do this all the time, but this one, like, really affected me for some reason. But we were in this big group of friends, and she was saying that fat people couldn't ride that ride. Fat people couldn't do this. Fat people couldn't do that. There was just, like, it was, like, a lot of things where she was saying fat people, fat people, fat people. And, like, I wasn't offended by the word fat people. Honestly, I remember growing up. Actually, I'll probably do a video on this at some point as well, because I think it's really crazy. I remember growing up that when people would talk about fat people in front of me or talk about someone else who was overweight, it made me feel less overweight. Like, it made me feel like they were being themselves and that they didn't feel uncomfortable talking about that in front of me. And I feel like a big part of that is this comment that this friend made. And she was saying that fat people couldn't ride that ride. And then she would look at me, and she would say, in this big group of friends, you guys, she would look at me and she would say, "No offense." And that was so offensive. Like, if somebody singles you out in this big group of friends, I just remember this time, like, feeling, it was so toxic. Like, I just can't believe my brain was that toxic back then. I was young. I was like 14 probably. So I can understand my brain being toxic. But I just can't believe that I remember sitting there in that big group of friends and her saying, fat people can't ride that ride. And me thinking, oh, like, wow, I can't believe she's saying that in front of me. Like, I must not be fat. And then obviously she said no offense. So then obviously I knew I was. But, and I knew I was. But, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong that I was fat. Like, there's nothing wrong with you having a little bit more weight than your friends. I know it's really hard growing up to realize and to see it that way. But, yeah, I'm definitely going to make another video on that at some point, because that blows my mind when I think about it too hard. But anyway, you guys, as I was saying, just don't surround yourself with friends who put you down, friends that constantly say, like, oh, like, are you sure you want to eat that? Or friends that say, like, oh, that picture, like, your stomach looks a little big in that picture. You know, like, you want to have friends who are honest with you, but you don't want friends who are bitches. So, like, if you have friends who basically tell you that make you feel less than for your weight, especially, like, get rid of those people. Those people do not belong. Moving on to the last one, and that is work on yourself. And I'm not just talking about the outside of yourself. I know in the new year, we all want to go for walks, we want to go for bike rides, we want to start working out, hitting the gym, eating healthy, and all of that stuff. But the one thing that we all forget about is that that doesn't change things. Like, that changes your health, and I think that's amazing, and I'm going to work on that. To be honest, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yes, I'm not going to work on my health this year, because that is something that I really want to work on. But I also want you to remember that you have to work on the inside of you as well. The inside doesn't change just because the outside does. And if you haven't fixed what is hurting you inside with your weight and with your outward appearance, that isn't going to fix anything. Changing the outside of you is just actually going to make it worse. It made it so much worse for me, at least. I can't speak for everyone, but for me, it actually made me have more of a toxic feeling toward plus size people and toward weight in general. And I still saw myself so much bigger than I was when I lost the weight. So it really didn't help me. at all. You need to work on the inside first and not thinking so negatively about your outward appearance before you even try to change your outward appearance. There needs to be these steps. Like, this is kind of why I wanted to bring this video to you guys, because like I said, I want to be more intentional with my YouTube videos. I feel more connected with you guys when I'm vulnerable. These aren't like fun to film, if I'm being honest. I was kind of scared to film this one, and I definitely am nervous to film the rest of them too. It's not like a fun time. But I know how much I've grown from everyone else sharing their stories, and I think, oh, that's one other really big tip, and this is like not to plug myself or anything, but definitely like subscribe to YouTubers as well that look like you, or provide a version of content that makes you feel better about yourself. Definitely, if this is something that like helped you, definitely hit that subscribe button. And I have like a long list of friends who I know would also help you in your body positive journey. I'll drop their links down below too. Like, there is no reason that you can't surround yourself with people that make you feel full and not people that make you feel like that burning desire to be something that you aren't. Alright guys, I love you, and like I said, remember to hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below if this helped you in any way, if you have any tips for my subscribers or for anybody, if you have any tips, please leave them down below. I would love to hear them. And also remember to like this video. It really does help my channel. Literally every interaction you guys make with me helps my channel so much. So I will see you guys in the next one.